Welcome to Free Advice Friday. Looking forward to doing another one with you guys today, and a very exciting guest today as well. We're going to be talking all about Voice123 and answering all of your questions about Voice123. And I feel very confident that you've got a lot of questions about Voice123. I understand the frustration, the struggle, trying to make sure that you're doing everything right, your profile's set up right, you understand the algorithm properly, and all of these different things. And so we've got Natasha from V123 Pros who is going to be joining us. And for those of you that are maybe not quite as familiar with V123 Pros, the website is v123pros.com. You can check that out. Natasha and Catherine have created some amazing resources to help you get the most out of Voice123. And the reality is, if you're going to make the investment in the platform, then when you're already spending the money to do it, a little bit extra to make sure that you're going to maximize your return on investment is absolutely worth it. And every single person that I have talked to that has taken the training and the courses that Catherine and Natasha offer, every single one of them has said that it has absolutely been worth it for them. They have learned a ton as a result of it. So let's bring Natasha on the show. Welcome, Natasha. Looking forward.
Can't hear you, Mark.
Let's try this. Okay, there we go. Let's click this button.
Yay.
For those of you that want to have questions, get your questions answered, feel free to use the chat feature that is available. I would just ask if you could put a Q beside your question, just a capital Q. That way it stands out to me in the chat. It's easier for me to find. But let's start, Natasha, while we wait for some people to join in and we wait for some questions to come. I want to ask the first question that everybody asks me. Do I need to spend $888 or beyond in order to make Voice123 work? Because I think that is the common belief, is that you've got to buy in at these higher tiers in order to make it work. True or false?
I'm going to say false. I'm going to start, though, Mark, with a caveat. I do not work for Voice123, so I want to be really clear about that.
Yes.
And we don't have like a direct line to the whatever. So we ask questions like everyone else gets questions answered there, and that's help@voice123.com. So Catherine, who's not with us today, but she's certainly around to answer questions anytime you go to our website, is on the $395 level. That said, she doesn't make Voice123 the only egg in her basket, right? So that's the bottom line. And I know you know that, Mark, is you have to have a lot of eggs in your basket, not just one. You can't expect Voice123 to be the only thing. Now, I'm very lucky. I've been at it a long time and done the right thing. So it's a great flow of income for me, but you can't expect it to be number one. So $395, I was on for a very long time. Of course, things have shifted and changed, but it's also very much about the percentile. If you are in the top 10 percentile, I believe that at $395, you can do just as well. Also, I always tell niche voices that aren't middle of the road and commonly hired for middle of the road corporate narration things. So if you have an accent or if you speak a different language, you do not need to pay higher than $395 because you will be found for what you are special at. There aren't a lot of auditions that are niche. So what do I mean by that? Well, if you're a Portuguese voice actor and you have a Portuguese accent, do not spend more than $395, because as long as you have Portuguese in your profile where necessary, you will be found for what you do well. So that's true of anyone. However, for someone that is middle of the road, which is me, a middle-aged white woman with nothing really different about my voice. I don't have extremely deep voice or raspy or high. So I do well because that's generally what's asked for, just sort of middle of the road voices at any age. That was my long answer, Mark.
Well, and you bring up another good point, though. And again, if anybody has questions, anything you want to ask about Voice123, please feel free to type it in the chat. Just put a Q beside your question so that it pops out in the chat for me. you mentioned, if you've got a niche voice, you don't need to go beyond 395. And this is one of the questions that I actually asked Rolf when I had him on the podcast a few weeks ago or a few months ago. There's like 20 some odd different tiers, or it seems like there's like a whole bunch of different tiers. And I couldn't figure out, I'm like, why do we need so many tiers? But that was one of the points he made too, was if you're something other than North American English, for example, there may not be as many opportunities. You do not have to invest as high in order to be able to get seen and all of that sort of stuff. And so that's where some of those lower tiers come in. So it's also keeping in mind your location, your language, your native language that you speak, and all of that sort of stuff too. And so you can actually buy in. Certain people can buy in, I guess,
Mhm.
199 or whatever it is, and still find
Mhm.
some results on the platform. So it's good to know that. But I do think let's go to the other side of that myth then, though, because a
Mhm.
lot of people believe that you have to spend at the 888 or above in order to make the site work for you. But spending at 888 or above is not a guarantee that the site is going to work for you. You can't just spend more money and have everything magically swing in your favor, right? There's a lot more to understanding how the site works in order to make that investment produce a return.
Yeah, you have to spend time on anything, on LinkedIn, as you all know, if you just fill it out or adds money to your subscription, you're not going to get jobs thrown at you. And that's very much the case here on Voice123. I Our rule of thumb is if you feel confident with where you are on the platform, spend a little more money, spend a little more money. So you can see that tweak it to work for you. This is not a short or maybe even medium term um, investment of time. It's a huge investment of time. And you can all see there are tens of thousands of people on here. Many of them are not paying. So that's great. They're not your competition.
Right.
Many are really, really good, and they are your competition, and they are snapping up the jobs quickly. So you need to find your way, and you do have to have patience. And that's a shame if you're paying 2,200 and a year goes by and you're not doing well. But it is an investment of time in tweaking your profile, but more importantly, your keywords, in keeping your eye out every day and maybe 2 or 3 times a day at those auditions and making sure you're matching up. I have friends who are bookers and they're not booking very well in this, in part because they're not putting as much, sorry, gals, when I'm
Just
they're
tell it
not
like it
putting
is.
I do. They're not putting as much interest maybe into their auditions as they do for other ones. They're like, oh, I can do this, I can do this. And I listen back to their auditions. I'm like, listen to that and that and that. Treat every audition, if you're going to do it, as worthy of your time,
Yep.
and make yourself hireable, and don't just go with the status quo of what has gotten you hired in the past. Mark, that's so important. These talent who have booked for a long time, and especially for decades, and they're like, well, why am I not booking? Well, listen to your auditions. They're a little um, old school, or you're just not putting enough care into the specs.
Mhm.
It says friendly. You don't sound friendly. So it actually happens.
Following the directions, right? Following the
Yeah.
directions. This shouldn't be
Yeah.
rocket science. So,
Yeah.
again, if anybody has a question that you would like to ask Natasha about anything related to Voice123, you can type it in the chat. You can just put a Q beside it so it does pop out and stands out to me from the chat. Here's our first question from Maurice. How quickly do you need to submit
Hi, Maurice.
auditions once you receive them? Is it really like you got to drop everything and do this immediately?
I tend to not, but that really depends what group you're in. And group is a whole other term that maybe some of you are not familiar with. So when you look at the projects, you look at I'm going to share this, Mark. I'm going to share this window to show exactly what I mean. So here are some auditions that I have today. So I'm going to click on the very first one I got 5 minutes ago. Okay, yay me. I'm in
Now we
group
got to shut the
one.
broadcast down because you got to go audition.
No. Heck no, that's not how I roll. But so you go into the invitations button and you can see the invitation group number you're in. So I'm lucky to be in group one because I'm a platinum talent. But as you can see, much to the chagrin of some platinum talent, there are premium members that are invited, and they're in the top 10 and 20. I was invited 5 minutes ago. There's a pretty good chance group 2 won't be invited for 4 hours, but sometimes I've seen 24 hours. And so you can see the group number you're in by clicking invitations and where you stand. Now, if you don't pay anything, you could be in group 72, quite frankly. If you are in the bottom 40 percentile, meaning you haven't got enough thumbs up to get to the top 10%, you're in the bottom 40 percentile, you could be in group 13. If you're in a lower group, say group 2 or below, you want to answer those auditions quickly. Because, when we look at how many people have auditioned, 1 out of 25, I'm not rushing. So if you're looking at an audition and it says, say, 15 out of 25 have been answered, you have a bit of time, but you're also looking at how many days are remaining. So if this had just come out and it's 15 out of 25, I've got some time to go get, lunch. But if it's been out for 4 days and it's 15 out of 25, there's a reason people aren't auditioning for it. So really look it over, make sure it's something you want to audition for, and consider it. Some people don't open their hirers don't open their audition until the deadline. They wait the 5 days or even 10 days or whatever. They wait way beyond. Some open them as they come. Nothing is the same. Just like for voiceover, no job is the same. Everything's different. So it's really hard to have hard and fast rules. But anyway, Maurice, the answer is look at the stats on this and figure out from there and be as quick as you can most of the time, but you can also take your time if not that many proposals have been opened and if it's just been sent to you today or maybe 24 hours or less.
Now, one of the things that Rolf had mentioned when I talked to him was that the days of them going for, 200, accepting 200 auditions, those days are gone. A lot of them don't have as many auditions coming in. But is it true still that, oh, I signed in and 20 people have already submitted, so it's pointless? Why even bother? Does that still stand, or is there still hope for you?
Well, I think there's hope for you. Everyone says, well, I live in the such and such time zone, so I always get them when there's 20 people answered. Well, everyone lives in the such and such time zone. Like, it's true for everyone because, number one, it's a global company. They're opening, they're accepting jobs or allowing jobs to come through at all hours of the night. And I every job gets looked at. So the Voice123 staff have to approve it before it goes up for the most part. And if you're not in group 1, then they are going to be filled up to a certain amount. If you're in group 6, yeah, they're going to be quite full before you get it. The good news is a lot of us are just passing on a lot of jobs. So I'll only accept jobs that are, I'll only open myself to auditions that are $350 or more, or $400 or more. So all the rest of them are sifting through in that way. Or we can't, the high bookers can't do everything. There's a ton of work. So make it work for you. Like we all say, you got to figure it out, make it work for you, and don't rely on it as 100% of your auditions or your income.
Yep. All right, here's another question. This one comes from Carrie. She took your course, said it was great. Thank you, Carrie.
Yay.
So recently, V123 changed the way samples are tagged. Are you familiar with the changes? What are you recommending for labeling your samples now?
Okay, so they haven't officially changed it, Carrie. They are in the beta process still. 200 people have been asked to beta test. When I wasn't one of them, I asked, could I please beta test? And as you can see, it's in process. So with the orange things, it's in process. So I can reveal to you, sorry, Voice123, the beta test interface. 200 people have had the opportunity. That said, they haven't approved all the different new keywording things. But you heard it here first on Marc Scott's Friday super special sessions. What's going on? So I'm going to go into my commercial playlist and show you all that aren't in the beta test what's happening here. So I'm going to edit my playlist, and you can see everything with an orange pencil can be edited. So I'm going to go into my commercial demo and show you the difference here. So the sample names have gone down from allowing quite a number of characters to only 70 characters. Most of the difference is actually in the sample title, which, to be honest, saddens me greatly because I've done so much work for myself and for others in this area. I'm still finding out the value, the strength of the keywords in the sample name, but I can tell you it's not nearly what it was. So if you have your name in the sample title, you can get rid of that entirely. I do know that for sure, even though it's in a beta, you can get rid of adding your name to your sample title. The other thing you want to do is remember at the bottom, they used to have additional keywords where they would suggest that you write a little bit more about the sample. So what I mean, Mark, is that you can say, well, this aired in Edmonton on this, from this and this date, and it was a project for blah, blah, blah.
Okay.
That's actually what they want for the sample name. They want
Okay.
a descriptive thing there. Now, for commercials, you can say when it aired. For a corporate thing, you can be more detailed about, well, what was this? What is the industry? What's the business? And what was the job? Because, for corporate jobs, they can be any number of different usages. So you're only allowed 70 characters. I'm going to lean towards if you have enough characters, start adding like a word or two that qualifies it, like warm and friendly, conversational, or something more unique that qualifies your voice. That's there. Okay. Then you have the opportunity to add accents and dialects, but that's optional. You can now do 2 purposes of recording and 2 ages. Now we have 2 new things called voice styles and search tags. Again, this is in beta. We just take it for what it's worth and we leave the rest. Voice styles, they've got some pre-populated words here. So you can use these, and if you already have one of these words previously in your sample title, go ahead and use one of these. The benefit, to make a long story long, is to the voice seeker. So they're just looking for something energetic. They're more likely to get what they're looking for by using this new system.
Right on.
Then you add your own search tags and you can start typing. There's a library worth of things in here. So if I say warm, cool, they have warmful and warming. So you can add warm as a keyword here, and you have
Warmful.
3.
Is that even a word?
I don't think it is. Um, you can only add 2 voice styles and 3 keywords. So friends, what I recommend is that you take the keywords that you had in the sample name and save them, in a spreadsheet. That is time consuming, but this whole thing is time consuming anyway. So those of us who put a lot of work into it, it's a lot of time. But anyway, keep the keywords. And we'll be back in the new year, Catherine and I, with a huge free webinar when we know for sure. So I have questions into them as to the value of the words in the sample name versus the value of the tags and the voice styles. That's really what we want to know. How much should we invest in time in these quality of the words? The additional sample details, from my understanding, is going away entirely. So if you haven't updated it yet, it will still be there, and you can save those as well as with your other keywords,
Right on.
and that it will disappear. Be sure to save as you go. Those are my tips for now, and
So
for 2022.
that leads me to another question then, though, that I have to ask, which is, I mean, as I watch you doing that, that's causing me anxiety to think about the amount of work that would actually go into me having to be able to do that. So do you have an army of people at V123 Pros that somebody like me could just call and say, how much is it to have you just do this for me? Because I can see a lot of people just feeling really intimidated by that whole entire process of filling out their profile and wanting to make sure that they've done it properly.
I can't say we have a team, Mark. we are definitely, we do this anyway. So you can pay Catherine and I on an hourly basis. You can see on V123 Pros what we
Nice.
charge.
Okay.
And we get to it, or we have help, because honestly, it is agonizing.
That's a big job. Yeah. That's a big job.
Yeah. And
All right.
frustrating.
Here's another question. This one more about auditioning. So if you're doing more than one take, are you slating before you submit your audition? Which I think is a really valid question. So what's your thoughts on that?
Yep. I recommend just saying 2 takes. Don't say your name, but quickly 2 takes. And you want to make sure it's not in a voice that is completely different from what you're submitting, because you only have, you have 3 to 6 seconds to get them, right? So you don't want to lose them on your slate.
Yep.
So you don't want to go, Natasha Marchewka. So today, and
Yeah.
you really want it to be in line with what you're offering so that they're more likely to listen. But the idea of saying, 2 takes is so they'll listen to the second take. And they still might not, but at least you know you have that chance of getting in
Right on.
and they will listen to it.
Going along with that one, then here's a question from Francis. How much time should you be spending on an audition? Some people say you shouldn't spend more than 5 minutes. Do you agree? I mean, we've already established that it's time is of the essence with getting these things submitted. So what's your process, your flow look like?
It's more than 5 minutes. I hope you're all relieved. Those people who can do them in 5 minutes, they are very special people. Sure, I can do an audition in 5 minutes, but it depends on the audition. So everyone take a deep breath and know that you want to give your best work. I'd rather give 2 really good auditions than 10 that won't book.
Mm-hmm.
It's really important to get a thumbs up on audition on this
Yeah.
platform.
Yep.
So you want to give it your best. And Celia, my manager says that, like, if you're not getting it, move on. And I gotta agree. Like,
Yeah.
if you're just in there and it's just not jiving, you gotta move on a lot of the time because you only want to you want to nail them. So take the time, even if it's 30 minutes. Honestly, if it's a good audition and you're proud of what you're putting out there, it's okay
Right on.
to not do a ton. Yeah.
Here's an interesting one from Michelle. I used to book 1 out of every 10, and now many are never even listened to. So something is clearly different that she's trying to figure out. Any insights into what that might be that's causing that? Is it your ranking? Is it where your auditions, like what group you're in, whether or not you get listened to? What are the factors that come into that?
Hi, sweet Michelle. Okay, so this is what I do. Am I sharing? I'm sharing. Okay.
I can switch over. Here we go.
Oh, okay. So this is delivered. Okay, so I'm in my projects. All the auditions are here under castings. This is delivered, and I just do it quickly. Like there's 10 a page, and I look at them and I say, okay, there's 3 that weren't open, and then it's not too normal that I leave a draft. I must have been busy that day. But okay, there's 1 that hasn't been opened, and I'll go through the pages and look, and 2 that haven't been opened. So out of the 3 pages, 6 haven't been opened, so I'm getting an 80% open rate. First of all, don't drive yourself crazy with how much it's being opened.
Mm-hmm.
It's not a reflection of your talent. It's a reflection of so many things. Number 1, it's time and timing. So it goes back to, when did I submit and what group level I'm in. I am very fortunate to be in group 1 most of the time because I'm both in the top 10% and a platinum talent. Okay. If I was in the bottom 50% and a platinum talent, I wouldn't come in until group 2 or 3. Hope you're following me, everybody. So because I get in quickly, I'm likely to be listened to. If you're not getting listened to, you're just not in soon enough. And then it could be all kinds of factors. They just didn't listen. There are some that I really wish, oh my gosh, I wish I could have this job. It's very rare that I say that. I just move on. But sometimes, oh my gosh, and they don't even open it.
Yeah, it's
And
frustrating.
it's just so random. And it has
Yep.
nothing to do with Voice123. It's just clients opening, maybe not, change their mind. So many factors.
I mean, open rate, obviously that is a frustration if you're not getting the open rate. But if I'm going to stress out over something on the platform, or if there's something I'm going to be looking at as a red flag more, so it would be whether I'm getting the thumbs up or not, right? I mean, that matters more. Unopened auditions, if I understand correctly, don't influence your ranking.
Correct.
But submitted auditions that don't get the likes, that does, right?
Well, the only thing you would be concerned if you have a lot of unopened auditions, they can listen for 2 seconds and it will look like it's not open. So if they listen for 2 seconds and you have lost the audition just like that, which is unlikely, Michelle. For you, Michelle is a top booker. However, Michelle, if you're submitting for things that aren't matching, if your tone is not at all what they wanted something confident, I could see them playing it for 2 seconds, stopping it, moving on. It will indicate that it has not been listened to.
Right on.
So be, again, real specific with those specs and make sure that you're exactly what they want. In Michelle's case, I mean, she is a top booker, but so the only reason there would be a lot like that would be missing the specs.
Okay. This is an interesting question since we're talking about the algorithm. My use of V123 has been staggered over the years, and I'm concerned I may have committed algorithm suicide. Is there any advantage or disadvantage to scrapping the account and just starting over, wiping the slate clean? Can you even do that?
Yeah, I'd like to know. That's a really good question, Tom, because I've been asked it and sometimes think it's a good idea. I'm not getting a straight answer. So what I want to know and what I would have you ask anytime you have an issue with Voice 123, and I mean glitches, because they are glitchy.
Mhm.
They haven't had an influx of millions of dollars to their programming. They're not the top platform in terms of bells and whistles.
Mhm.
So there are glitches. So if you find a glitch, get help. That said, again, get help. Ask them, just say, if I quit and get some more coaching or tweak what I'm doing and come back, can I start fresh? Do I have to have the same profile? I think sometimes the questions aren't getting through to the right level and you getting a pat answer. So I'm thinking, and yes, people do commit algorithm suicide. It is a thing. We've just
Yep.
thrown a whole bunch of spaghetti at the wall, auditioned a ton,
Yep.
and then, yeah, and you didn't look at the specs. So if that's the case and you're in the bottom 10, I have had plenty of people come up from the bottom 10 by doing what we say. You just need patience. But there is a free download on V123 Pros about that. If you're in a bottom percentile, how to climb up. You have to have patience. Try it. Email them, ask them, if I quit and come back, can my whole account be erased and started again? And I really don't see why not. Again, I don't work for them, but from what I understand, that may be a good option for some people.
And
Also, sorry,
yeah,
Mark,
go ahead.
maybe you're not right for the platform and you booked before, maybe you're not now. There might be a reason.
Yep.
And the reason is younger people are hiring now. And so they're looking for something different. That's a possibility, right, Mark?
If I understand correctly too, when it comes to if you've done dumb things on the algorithm, which it sounds, I think just about everybody has before they actually understand how it works. Your profile, it's the most recent 12 months. Is that correct? So as you
Yep.
move forward in time, those old mistakes will start to fall off, so to speak, right? If they're outside of the 1 year
Yes.
window, and that's something that can help. And I think the other thing too, and if you've got any insight into this, but my understanding is it's not like you need 100 likes to go from a lower percentile to an upper percentile. Sometimes we're talking about like 5 or 10 can make a big difference, right?
Yes, I'm glad you're bringing this up. I'd like you all to pay attention to this if you could share the screen,
Yep,
Mark.
let's do it.
Okay, I want you all to be really aware when you go to the homepage and you see how many like proposals. Many of you have many more than I do in terms of thumbs up, but you go to your activity and I've only submitted 167 proposals in the last 12 months. So, as Mark says, things drop off. Your thumbs up drop off, but also how much you've auditioned. I do it, and Catherine too, a really steady amount of auditions. And so there's this like consistency in terms of when things drop off. I get enough thumbs up to keep it going. If you're going to get a whole bunch of thumbs up in 1 month and then nothing for months, that's going to be trouble. What I want you to really pay attention to, though, is take this number, divide it by this number, and see what you get. If you get 1 in 5 thumbs up in a normal situation, it should move you up to the top 10%. However, if you are down in the bottoms, you need more than one out
Right.
of 5 thumbs up because it's math. You need 2 or 3 out of 5.
So really
That's a
the
lot of
lower you are, the more strategic that you need to the more intentionally strategic you need to be to get
and
yourself
that's
moving
what's
up again.
so difficult. That's
Yeah.
what's so difficult and a frustration with everyone, and even Rolf is frustrated with that, you know, that. But pay attention to this number because as I said, it can be a bit glitchy. So if you're getting 1 in 5 or more than 1 in 5 and you don't see any movement, talk to them and see what's happening.
You got to be careful because when you're in the lower, you want to audition more to try to get yourself out of the
Mhm.
hole. But by auditioning more, you can actually end up putting yourself a little bit deeper into the hole. So, all right,
Yeah.
here's a really interesting question from Jordan for newer folks who don't have a lot of real work to put into a portfolio. You can't have a ton of samples if they don't exist. What is it? Is it creating demos, making some fake stuff, just getting something up there because something's better than nothing? What do you suggest?
Yeah, it's actually a great level playing field. You don't have to have spectacular work or amazing demos, but you do have to have a good representation of your voice. So you can add auditions or samples that you do as audio samples. Number one, though, you said longer form. Don't make anything longer than 30 seconds. No one will listen to it. It can be dry, does not have to have music by any stretch. They need to know what you sound like in real work. You're not going to give them something with music in the job. So don't add music or production to your samples or your auditions. But yeah, go ahead. If your craft is at the right level to be hired, it is excellent, then you can do any number of things, read a bunch of stuff, throw them up there as samples. But please, please make them great representations of you.
Okay. Here's an interesting one for Manny. So I managed to get up to the bottom 20, but I feel like I'm swimming counter current with V123. Don't really know if it's worth it. I also wonder if it's worth upgrading my account. This is an interesting question. If you're down in the lower percentiles, throwing money at it isn't necessarily going to get you out of the bottom, right?
Correct. I think it's, it seems like such a mystery, but the easiest thing to do is actually to see all the tiers and the analytics. So when you go into the membership page, Marc, and you add, so I say I'm English and a female adult. Excuse me for 1 second. We can see how many people I'm competing with at every level. So in my level, I happen to pay a lot, and it's a great investment for me. I only have 37 people competing that have North American English and they're female. And I'm searched a lot of blah, 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 blah. You can see the details here. So you're paying $395. You're a female. I could also have young adult and senior, and then I would have a lot more opportunities and less competition. So it's whatever you enter into this membership sort of page, not sort of, the page. It's just right there for you. So, okay, you're here. You're going to add this much money. Okay, you've got a better chance of less competition. However, look you've only got this many more project invitations, and you're in the bottom 20.
Mm-hmm.
So you really need to talk to them I'm going to say at length. But if you throw some money at it, there'll be less people competing with you. But again, you're going to the projects and you see that even if you're platinum, even if you pay $5,000, if you're in the bottom 10%, you're not going to do well. You're not going to see the jobs.
Yep.
You have to move up that percentile.
And I think it's really important that you point that out, because I do think that that's one of the misconceptions is that if you just throw more money at it, I just need to get more access to more opportunities, or if I spend invest in at a higher tier or whatever, that's the solution. But that is absolutely not the solution. So Natasha, I know we said you'd be here for about a half an hour. I want to respect your time, but I do want to mention the price of the course is going up in January. And so for anybody that is looking to save a little bit of money, now is the time to make the investment. Just tell us a little bit about V123 Pros and about the course that you guys have created and how that works for anybody that may want to make that investment in trying to improve their odds on Voice123.
Sure. What the exciting thing is, and truly exciting thing is about V123 Pro's course, optimizing your experience on Voice123, is that once you pay, you get the updates for a lifetime. So every time they make, not every time, but every 6 months or so, we review the course and we update it so that it's correct. I mean, you could see Marc and I a year from now, and everything I say is a lie. It's not a lie. It's as of today, it's accurate.
Welcome to the wonderful world of technology.
Right. Constant updates. They're a technology company. And so when you purchase our course for $150 until the end of the year, you'll always get the updates of the new modules. And we will also, because they're doing a beta and a big change, we're going to do a free webinar once we understand that everything is solid and they've rolled it out. So the course is going up to $198 in January, which honestly isn't a lot considering what you receive for the course. And I'm not just saying that. We really want to help people and not have them light their money on fire. So there are other free downloadable resources on there, and we offer some other auditing things to support you and help. But the course itself is where you want to start, because I can't really help you if you don't understand the platform. If you don't understand every nuance that we're teaching you already, I don't want to have to go over everything and hold your hand. watch the course, and then you can rewatch it and rewatch it for those things you don't understand. Get on board and then get the updates every time we have something new to share with you.
I think the most important part of this particular site, which is so often overlooked, you can sign up for Bidalgo or VOPlanet or that other VDC site that I don't really want to talk a whole lot about, and you can just submit auditions, and that's it. You pay your money, you give them your credit card, you just submit auditions. Voice123 does not work like that. And that's why you get yourself into trouble. So if you are thinking you're just going to sign up and start submitting auditions, that's when before long you're going to end up in the lower tiers. You're going to start getting frustrated. You're not seeing the auditions. You're seeing the auditions too late. The auditions are coming at 3 o'clock in the morning or whatever, and you feel like you've wasted your money. You have to understand how that site works. You can like it or hate it. That doesn't matter. What matters is this is how it works. And so you do need to understand that. And so again, I mean, I have not taken the course because I'm not on Voice123, but I will say that from the people that I coach, everybody that I've talked to that is on Voice123 and has taken the course has said that it has made a huge difference in their understanding of the platform, the auditions that they're seeing, when the auditions are coming in. Like, it just improves things. And so if you want to use Voice123 and make it work for you, you have to understand how. The course is just one of those ways that is going to help you to understand it better. So there's the website, v123post.com, if you want to check it out. And I do understand you've got some other free resources, some PDFs and some guides and stuff like that that people can download as well if they're just looking for a little bit of extra information. So they can find all that on the website of V123Pros as well.
We do. And I want to also be super honest and clear, Mark. Just because you take the course doesn't mean you're going to do well on Voice123. It's a revelation, right? The course, you pay for Voice123, or you can do it. You can do Voice123, or you can do it effectively. And you purchase our course. And then you find, crap, I'm still not doing well. That is a reality. Some people do great, and other people, they just don't. And so you have to figure out, this isn't working for me. But that's true of every marketing option that you do or that you choose. LinkedIn isn't my jam, even though I've been on there since Jesus was a little boy. But that's because it's just not my flow. It's not my, I'm not. So it might not be for you, but it's worth finding out because there's a lot of work on there. Right?
Absolutely. Right. All right, Natasha. Well, thank you so much for your time, and thank you for all of the wisdom that you've shared. And again,
my pleasure.
V123pros.com is the website for anybody that wants to check it out. Get the course before the end of the year if you want to save a little bit of money on it as well. Thank you so much, Natasha.
Thank you for everything that you're giving to the community, Mark. Really appreciate it.
All right. There you go, guys. There's Natasha from V123 Pros for answering your questions for Free Advice Friday. And hopefully that does answer some of the questions that you have and gives you a little bit better understanding of what is going on. I'm going to be sticking around for a little bit longer to answer any of your general business and marketing questions, and very much looking forward to doing that. So again, we'll carry on. If you have general business and marketing related voiceover questions you want to get answered, type those into the comments. You can just put a Q beside them so that they stand out on the screen. It'll make it a little bit easier for me to find them. And while I'm waiting for you guys to ask some questions, I do want to share this in case you haven't heard about it. The 12 voiceover gifts of Christmas. The contest has opened now. You can sign up at marcscottcoaching.com/12VO gifts. Guys, I'm telling you, there's over $12,000 in prizes. Let me say that again. There's over $12,000 in prizes for the 12 VO gifts of Christmas this year. And I'm not done collecting prizes yet. Among those that have donated, we're talking about J. Michael Collins, Joe Cipriano, Anne Ganguza, Everett Oliver, Celia Siegel, Dave Walsh, Cliff Zellman, Uncle Roy, Jordan Reynolds, Eric Romanowski, Tom Pinto are all part of the main contest. And then a number of bonus prizes have been donated as well. So it's going to be crazy. So check that out. Sign up at marcscottcoaching.com/12VO gifts and get your name in on that contest before it's too late. I'm going to start announcing what the prizes are on December 13th. We'll announce a new prize every single day. And then it's all going to culminate with a live stream right here on YouTube on Christmas Eve at 12 p.m. Eastern time. And that is when everything is going to be awarded. So there you go. Thank you. Thank you for watching. Thank you for signing up. Thank you for coming and asking your questions of Natasha as well. If you do have other business and marketing questions that you would like to get answered, I'm here. I'm hanging out. I'm happy to answer those questions for you. You can type those into the comments, and certainly happy to do my best to offer any insights that you may need as far as the business and marketing side of voiceover. I can't help you a whole lot with Voice123. Not going to lie. I tell you, my whole thing with Voice123, and this is part of one of the reasons why I originally dropped off the platform, was I had what I call the pay-to-play mentality. And it's one of these things where I'm signed up for all these different casting sites, and I go out for the afternoon, and I'm standing at the grocery store, I'm in line at Walmart, whatever, and my phone is constantly pinging, and all of these audition opportunities are coming in, and I just keep thinking, I'm missing. And it was like literally stressing me out. Like, it was making me crazy to the point where I didn't want to leave my house anymore because I felt like I was going to miss out on all of these potential audition opportunities, which was not a good mindset space for me to exist in. So that was one of the reasons that I originally let it go. But it's nice to know that you don't have to get in quite that quickly anymore. So that's really cool to see. But Voice123 can be a very lucrative platform. It can be a really great opportunity for you. You've got to have the skill set. Obviously, it is not just a give me your credit card, plug in your microphone, and start making money. That's not the way it works. You're competing against some of the best when it comes to voice actors and talented voice actors. And so, you've got to understand that when you're signing up as well. So make sure you're coached up. Make sure your profile looks great. Make sure you've got all the right samples on. Make sure you've got your profile labeled the way that you need to have it labeled. There's a lot of things that go into achieving success on Voice123. Jennifer says, this is finally my year. I can feel it. Jennifer, I'm assuming you're talking about the 12 VO gifts of Christmas, and you are ready to hopefully win a prize this year. So I got my fingers crossed for everyone. I wish that I could give prizes to everybody, but obviously there's a limit to even what I can do, but there are a lot of amazing prizes that are going to be given away this year. So again, check that out at markscottcoaching.com/12 VO gifts. So what else can I help you guys with on Free Advice Friday? What kind of questions have you got? What can I answer for you? What do you want to talk about? Let me know. Type it in the comments. Put a Q beside it. I'll see your question pop up in the chat there, and I'm happy to do my best to answer that question for you. One other thing I wanted to mention as well, this one's coming up next week. Home Studio Basics with Uncle Roy and Marc Scott. Uncle Roy's going to be joining me for a free webinar. We're going to actually do that right here on YouTube. I have put together a list of all of the most common questions that I get asked when I am coaching voice actors about home studio stuff, which I'm not a home studio expert. I'm not a home studio guru. So I've put together this list of all of these questions, and I'm going to put all of those questions to Uncle Roy and get him to answer them during this webinar. So this is free. It's going to be happening on December 13th at 7 p.m. Eastern, and it's actually going to be part of the kickoff for the 12 voiceover gifts of Christmas. So you're definitely going to want to check that out. All right, let's see. Carolyn's got a question. It says, using the GVAA rate guide to give rates in different currencies, GVAA may say $350 fee in US dollars, which is over 470 Canadian. Do you charge Canadian clients $470 or $350 Canadian? This is a really interesting question, Carolyn. One of the things that you need to understand about the GVAA rate guide, even though it comes from an organization that is called the Global Voice Acting Academy, the GVAA rate guide is actually a US-based rate guide for US-based voiceover. I'm not going to say that you can't occasionally get GVAA rates if you are working in other countries or you are a voice actor from other countries. I'm just going to say don't expect it always because, look, Canada, prime example, literally a tenth of the size of the United States. And so it is a different economy here in Canada. And so that makes a big difference in the rates because the size of the economy is different. So it is unlikely in most cases that you will get GVAA rates in Canada. Not saying it's impossible, just saying it's unlikely. In the same way that you probably wouldn't necessarily be able to charge GVAA rates if you were working with a client in the United Kingdom or New Zealand or Dubai, as an example. And so just understand that that particular rate guide is designed for the United States. It is not a specific global rate guide. That being said, another site that you might want to check out is rates rates.gravyforthebrain, rates.gravyforthebrain.com. One of the things that Gravy for the Brain has done is they've put together rate guides for a number of different countries. And so it works similar to the GVAA. I mean, it looks different. It has a different feel to it, but you can still use that platform, rates.gravyforthebrain.com, to look up potential rates in your country or in the country that you are working in. Because even if you are a US-based voice actor who is doing voiceover in Canada, for example, the GVAA may not always apply. So, Carolyn, I hope that answers your question, provides a little bit of clarity, and make sure that you check that out, rates.gravyforthebrain.com. Xavier says, hey, Mark, Playbook is coming out in January. Yes, it is. January 4th, Playbook is going to be back. I've had some experience marketing other items, but is this catered to VO artists, beginner and veteran alike? Yeah, this is absolutely a voiceover marketing course. If you have some experience in marketing, then some of the things that you learn from Playbook or some of the foundational principles of marketing that I teach, you may be familiar with. But what I do is I teach those things and how to specifically apply them to voiceover. And so that's the way that works. But yeah, Playbook, absolutely, totally geared towards voice acting. That being said, I have had voice actors who have taken Playbook and used the lessons that they've used or learned from Playbook to apply to other side hustles and different things that they do, which is fantastic. I want to say a big thank you to Natasha, by the way, who is still sticking around in the chat there and answering some questions for some people. So if you did have a question that you popped into the chat earlier in the broadcast and we didn't have a chance to get to it, and I do apologize. I try to get to as many questions as possible, but sometimes we can't get to all of them there. It looks like Natasha is walking through right now, going through the chat and answering some of those other questions that maybe we didn't have the opportunity to get to. So she is commenting under Speechless Real Life VO, which is Speechless is actually a podcast that Natasha does. So you can check that out as well while she's answering your questions there. So again, if you guys do have any other voiceover questions that you want to answer or you want to get answered, feel free to type those questions into the chat. Just put a Q beside them when you type them into the chat so they stand out. And I am certainly keeping an eye out for those questions as they pop up. I'm happy to answer any general business and marketing related questions that you have. And don't be shy. Don't be afraid to ask. Thank you for this, Susan. Playbook is so worth it. I'm glad that you feel that way. And I certainly do want to make sure that I put together a really awesome course for everybody. Playbook, obviously, getting updated all the time. Always trying to put new content in and keep it fresh and make sure that it's always a really great resource for any voice actors who are signing up and wanting to take that course. I also want to mention this, guys. If you haven't had a chance to go and check this out yet, this is a free download that I created a couple of weeks ago. If you need ideas for creating video for social media, because video, it's where it's at now. You should be creating video. And there are a lot of ways that you can incorporate video without specifically having to be on camera. This free resource is going to give you some ideas. It's going to get the creative juices flowing a little bit. So you can check that out. markscottcoaching.com/20 video ideas. markscottcoaching.com/20 video ideas to get that free resource. And I know that will be helpful for you. Uncle Roy's in the broadcast. Hey, Uncle Roy. Tuesday, you and me, buddy, going live. Answering questions in the webinar. Speaking of Free Advice Friday and fun things happening, this is next week, by the way, guys. Everett Oliver is going to join me on Free Advice Friday next week. He is, I said, Everett, what do you want to talk about? I said, you want to, because Everett does a lot of things. He can teach a lot of things. I said, you want to talk about commercial? You want to talk about character, animation? You want to just talk about business advice for voice actors who are, career consultation type stuff. If you want to talk about that, we can talk about that. And Everett said, Mark, I want to speak my truth. I just want to come on the show and give people honest answers about the truth about voiceover and about the industry. And I was like, that sounds amazing. So if you've got questions about the voiceover industry and you want to get straight up honest answers from Everett Oliver, who is an amazing coach, then there you go. Next Friday, Free Advice Friday. It's absolutely going to be a fun show. I have no doubt about that. All right, let's see what's going on here. Christopher says, How often do you follow up after the initial contact with a prospective client to see if you can be of assistance? Christopher, so my whole thing is I'm going to send my initial email, and if I do not get a response to that initial email, I'm going to send a follow-up about a week later, just to, bring myself back top of mind, remind them, because maybe they meant to respond to me, but they were busy. They were in a meeting. They were at their standing in the bush cutting down a Christmas tree. I don't know. There's a lot of reasons why they didn't respond right away. And so lots of times that follow-up email can be the thing that prompts them and reminds them, oh yeah, I did mean to respond to him. So I always do that 1 week follow-up. And then if it's somebody that I really, 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 really want to work with, then I might do another follow-up a week after that as well. On the flip side of that, if I send an email to somebody and I get some sort of a positive response, hey, Marc, we loved your stuff. We loved your demos. We'd love to have the opportunity to work with you. We'll add you to our roster. Any kind of positive response like that. Then in those instances, they're going into a much more consistent follow-up. And I'm just going to keep following up with them probably about every month or so until an opportunity presents itself for us to work together, in which case I'm still going to continue following up with them after the fact, because ultimately I don't want them to forget me. Ira says, Marc, any gear you'd take with you on a road trip if you want to audition while you're away from home? I actually do have a total setup that I have for when I'm traveling. So when I go, I have and obviously you don't have to have something this fancy, but I've accumulated a lot of gear over the years. But when I travel, I have a Yamaha AG03, which I thought it might have been here, but it's not. I thought it might have been handy, but it's just it's a little small interface that works great, relatively portable. So I take that Yamaha AG03 as my interface to plug into my computer, and I take a Sennheiser 416. I am a big fan of the 416 because it is so forgiving of the space that you are recording in. And sometimes when you're recording on the road, it's, you don't always have a really great space to record in. And so the 416 can certainly help with that. But any kind of shotgun microphone, I know there's other options that are out there that are more affordable than the 416. But yeah, that's it. I have my MacBook Pro, which has Adobe Audition on it. And Uncle Roy did my Adobe Audition setup on my iMac, and then we transferred all of those settings over to my MacBook Pro. So I've got the same settings on both systems. So MacBook Pro, Adobe Audition, AG03, 416, I'm good to go. And that's actually, that was my home studio setup for a really long time. But now that I've changed out my interface and I've got a U87 in the booth now, and so I've just kind of taken that other stuff, and that kind of became my travel rig. The other thing that I'm looking at adding eventually, we spend a lot of time up north. I call it the North Pole. It's where my wife's family lives. And, we're there on an average year. We're probably there for 6 weeks out of the year at least, maybe more. So I'm actually looking at plans for a PVC booth that I can build that would be collapsible. PVC booth with some moving blankets that I could, collapse it into a duffel bag when I don't need it, leave it in my mother-in-law's basement. And then when we're up there and we're visiting, I can pull that duffel bag out. I can take that to the hotel with me, set up a nice little booth, and away I go. But yeah, that's it. For me, it's a pretty simple setup. I know people that do record into iPads. Some people have got stuff that lets them record into their phone. And there's a lot of different options out there. I think the biggest thing is, as much as possible, I want my travel audio to be as close as it can be to my home studio audio. And obviously with an isolation booth and everything in my home studio, that's not going to be, it's not going to be 100% comparison, but I certainly do the best I can to match those up. And I do want to make sure that I'm providing as good a quality audio as possible for my clients when I'm traveling. So that's something that I certainly keep in mind. Great question, though. I'm always on the lookout for new toys. All right, let's see. What else is going on here? Patrick, coveting the U87. I have to say thank you to Uncle Roy for that one. But yeah, the U87 it's pretty sweet. I do absolutely love my U87. I'm very, very grateful to have that U87. That was a microphone that I coveted for a very long time, and it was nice to finally be able to put that in my booth. Guys, I could stick around for a few more minutes, answer a few more questions. If there's anything that you would like to ask on Free Advice Friday, again, feel free to type it into the comments, and I am certainly happy to answer those questions for you. Anything general business and marketing related. I see that Natasha's still hanging out in the chat as well, answering some of your Voice123 questions as well. And again, thank you, Natasha, for your time and for the wisdom that you shared. Guys, check out the course. Actually, that reminds me, I want to share this with you here. Here's how you can find Natasha online. There's her LinkedIn, Instagram, the YouTube channel. Obviously, that's for Speechless VO, which is the podcast, the show that she does as well. You can find her on Twitter if you want to get connected with Natasha on social media profiles. Check that out. And of course, in addition to that, then there's also the V123 Pros website, which there you go, v123pros.com to find out more about the course that Natasha offers, the coaching that they offer around Voice123, and to get some of those free PDF downloads that she has to offer as well. So check that out at v123pros.com. All right. Xavier says, have you heard of the Try Booth? I saw a couple of reviews on YouTube, and it looks great for traveling VO artists. Yes, I have absolutely heard of the Try Booth. George Whittam, man, that thing is sexy. I would love to be able to get one of those. It's everything that I want. My problem with that one right now is Canadian exchange and international shipping is a problem. And so that's one of those things that I would love to invest in one of those one day, because that does look like a really nice booth. Actually, the first time that I really got familiar with it was when Joe Cipriano was traveling with one and posting some pictures on Facebook and leaving some really positive reviews about his experience with the Try Booth. But yeah, that thing is beautiful. Oh, Iris says that she's got a Try Booth. Nice, Iris. Those things are sweet. They really are sweet. That would be the perfect setup. But all right, let's see. There we go. Iris says, nice. I'm just trying to see if I need to haul my Try Booth or not. Thank you, Marc. So there you go. I will tell you, here's one of the things. This is one of the things that I love about voiceover. Voice actors, obviously, we're very serious about our equipment, very serious about our studios, right? Building beautiful setups and getting our whisper rooms and our studio bricks, or, I got a custom built booth right over there that I designed and built with a little design help from Uncle Roy and some build help from my father-in-law. And, I've got that with my U87 inside of it. And, it's like delivering pristine broadcast quality sound, right? But then what happens when we all go to VO Atlanta? What happens? Social media fills up with pictures of voice actors recording from our pillow forts. We all do it. I have done it, right? We set the ironing board up on the desk or the table, and we stuff some pillows in there, and we throw the comforter over our head, and we all post our selfies all over Instagram or Facebook or other social media platforms, right? And that's us recording. And so it's like, I've got, I don't know, $25,000 invested in my home studio from the build standpoint and the equipment standpoint. But then I'm also recording voiceover jobs for clients under an ironing board blanket fort in a hotel room. And it still sounds great. And I think that's the thing that makes me laugh. But now, part of the reason why, for me anyway, part of the reason why it still sounds great is because the 416 helps, right? If I took my U87 and tried to record underneath of an ironing board blanket pillow fort, yeah, that wouldn't fly. So the microphone definitely makes a difference. But I would love, if I had the Try Booth, I would definitely do some traveling with it, I think. Maurice says, I have a Try Booth and I love it and it works great. There you go. See, this is like an infomercial for the Try Booth. You guys you're peer pressuring me right now. I hope you know that. You're peer pressuring me right now. You're making me want to go out and get a Try Booth. So stop peer pressuring me. Again, a reminder about the 12 voiceover gifts of Christmas and the over $12,000 worth of prizes that are being given away. By the way, V123 Pros is part of the 12 voiceover gifts of Christmas. If you haven't signed up yet, it's marcscottcoaching.com/12 VO gifts. marcscottcoaching.com/12 VO gifts. Lots and lots of prizes to give away. It's going to be an amazing time. All right, let's see. Did I miss anything? I got time for one more question if somebody's got it. Feel free to type it into the chat there. Keeping an eye out for it. Scrolling. Looks like I haven't missed anything. I hope I haven't missed anything. So again, one final reminder for Free Advice Friday for next week with Everett Oliver. That's going to be classic. Very much looking forward to having Everett on the show and seeing what he has to offer. He's wild. It's going to be a fun episode, I bet. So hopefully you can mark that on your calendar and you'll be able to check that out for Free Advice Friday next week, 1 o'clock Eastern. There's already a broadcast scheduled on my YouTube channel. So if you head over to my regular YouTube channel and subscribe, you will be able to get notified. So make sure that you do that, by the way. Make sure that you head to the YouTube channel and subscribe so that you get notified so that you're not going to miss anything. And then, of course, don't forget this one, Home Studio Basics with Uncle Roy, happening on Tuesday, December 13th, 7 o'clock Eastern. That's going to be a great one as well. Very much looking forward to doing that webinar. That's going to be a free webinar. That is happening here on YouTube as well. I do have a sign-up page that I've created. You've maybe seen me promote that sign-up page. That's just so that I can remind you that it's happening. You do not have to, there's no cost associated with that. It is a free webinar. So looking forward to having anybody come and join who wants to come and join. So guys, thank you so much. It's an exciting day here. We're doing Christmas with my dad. I've actually got a turkey on the smoker as we speak. We're going to have a big turkey dinner tonight. Girls are excited to open some gifts from Grandpa. And, we're working on getting some more lights set up around the house and stuff like that. So feeling very Christmassy today. Look, I can show you over there. I got my Christmas tree set up in the booth, or in the studio rather. It wouldn't be Christmas without a tree in the studio. So we're feeling very festive around here, which of course is just helping me get even more excited about the 12 VO gifts of Christmas. But guys, thank you so much for joining in. Again, thank you to Natasha. Grateful for the time that she gave. V123pros.com. Check it out. Look at the course. See if that's the right thing for you. Just know Voice123 does not work like the other casting sites. You do need to understand how that site works if you are going to achieve success on it. And that course that Natasha offers can certainly go a long way to helping you do that. So, all right, everyone, I'm going to wrap this one up. Thank you so much for watching. As always, thanks for coming. Thanks for bringing all your questions, hanging out. Thank you for your continued support. Don't forget to get signed up for the 12 voiceover gifts of Christmas. And I'll see you on Tuesday for the webinar with Uncle Roy, and next Friday for Free Advice Friday with Everett Oliver, right here on the YouTube channel. Whatever you decide to do this weekend, have fun, stay safe, and as always, go find some leads.